You're listening to the Real Estate Entrepreneur Podcast with Terrence Murphy, where we cover sales, investing, and entrepreneurship with an emphasis on real estate. Each podcast, Terrence and his guests will bring you informative and inspiring information within the real estate industry.
Welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Entrepreneur with Terrence Murphy. You guys know I like to start off with a quote, and then we introduce the guests, and then we just have a genuine conversation about what's going on in their lives. How can they impart wisdom and knowledge on our audience? And so it's been really good, man. I think we're going north of 60, 70 episodes. We've had some really good traction, organic traction. So I think that's always important. So quote is, let no one discourage your ambitious attitude. You don't need a fan club to achieve your goals. Just be your own motivation. So that's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, at the end of the day, as real estate entrepreneurs, we have to pursue things when people think we shouldn't. We have to dream when people don't think we should. And we have to set goals that people think are not accomplishable. So I have a guest today, Jennifer Wehner, from waitress and teen mom to CEO of a $200 million real estate team. Jennifer Wehner has learned the hard way. Now it's her passion to help other agents embrace the power of leverage and create their extraordinary business without losing their minds. Welcome her to the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love quotes. And I love quotes, and I love that you talk about dreams, because it's crazy that we live in a world that scientifically, after the age of 30, most people stop believing in their dreams. And yet we know even Colonel Sanders started at 65. Warren Buffett made all of his money after the age of 60. So, it's never too late to stop. Like those childhood dreams, those dreams you had, those dreams you might not even know of. It's like dream big. We live in the times of Elon Musk, man. If you can't be inspired now, we're going to Mars. So it's exciting.
Yeah, it is. It is. So tell us your story. How did you become a real estate entrepreneur? Because obviously that's our podcast. We have realtors, we have investors, we have developers, we have real estate tech people. But at the end of the day, we're all real estate entrepreneurs. So in a couple of sentences, tell me your story and how you got into real estate.
Yeah. Well, gosh, that goes deep. No, I grew up half redneck, half ghetto. I love my home state, but Riverside and Norco, I grew up on dirt land when I was with my dad, and crashed a motorcycle in the 6th grade, and lived in the judgmental university that I attended with my mom. I love my mom, but it was very restrictive. And if anything I ever wanted, it was freedom. And I remember when I got my first car, and it was like this beat up Datsun. It's like I always wanted nice things. Because I never had them. But I also remember finding like the one nice neighborhood in Riverside and driving past these homes and being like, if they can live like that, why not me? No, I'm not a completely materialistic person, because I'm an artist inside, and I believe we all as humans, every human's an artist. Mm-hmm. But, I got the heck out of Riverside. I actually had to have a little stint of homelessness before I got into my college dorm. It didn't even matter what I did. I started fashion school, teen mom, a surprise baby when I was 18, and 4 kids now. And 25 years later, I'm still with my husband, and built this, along the way. But when I was going to school, I had a baby. I was going to Cal State, whatever, Long Beach. It doesn't really matter. I knew I wanted to. It was like Plan X for me. I knew I wanted to work for myself, because at that point, I already have a challenging authority kind of issue here, when rules don't make sense and someone's an authority telling me to do these stupid rules. So I don't like to be told what to do, when it's I love being coached by people with wisdom. But, the bosses that I would work for is I'm kind of more of a soloist there. So I know with money, it was what it could provide, the freedom, the choices I didn't have. And the choices I wanted my kids to be able to have, and the skills that there isn't a single capitalist in my family, and the legacy of somebody take a dang risk here, because without risk, without being a fool, what do they say? Wise men have solutions, and they say wise men have problems and fools have solutions. So be the fool, and I've born in April Fools. I'm Irish, I can play the fool, but in that, that foolishness is that where you find opportunity, and sometimes you fail, and you fail a lot. But, I was finishing school, I was pricing out tanning salons, hair salons, didn't know what I wanted to do. my husband happened to have friends that were flipping homes here. I lived in Orange County and Huntington Beach. I had to leave the beach to the desert, but did the math. I was like, wow, could have 2 homes for the same price I'm renting a house in Huntington Beach. Well, just made the leap, and I don't say like it was really hot. I moved to Chandler, fell in love in Scottsdale, moved up here 2 years later, but I got in as an investor with all the money I had saved, waiting like tables, like hard work, I want to say. But being also rejected, told, just called names, like everything you have to deal with in that industry, but having the grit. Because it's all humans at the end of the day, right? It's humans. It's the humans I've read. It's the humans we lead. It's the humans that lead us. And, since then I got in, I loved the investing component. Well, I was like, well, why not exercise the resale component or the residential component and help consumers, buyers and sellers, and help investors and be an investor. We led up to building like luxury homes and owned multifamily and single family homes. I thought I was setting my family up. I was 25 years old. I was young and wasn't listening to Kiyosaki over there. But, in 2008 called, it wanted its money back and it was brutal times. But in that brutality, in that defeat, because when you hit defeat so deep, where you were millions above and now you're like, you would love to be at zero because you were millions below, in that canyon of defeat is where you find the hope, and it took a lot, but like that grit and what you learn, there's no master's degree. There is it is life's great, experience is life's greatest teacher, right? So it's going through that experience, coming out, realizing like we're all more capable than we ever give ourselves credit for. And, that light, even when you're feeling defeat, that is the hope. That is the dreams. And sometimes it takes a lot to get there. I'm grateful to God. I surrendered in 2018 from alcohol addiction and breaking the chains of that. And I only talk about this because, it's right now, I think in real estate entrepreneur land, now I have title, I have coaching, I have my book coming out that I'm really excited about with Forbes. I've been speaker, multiple ancillary businesses now. So it's like being a serial entrepreneur is fun. Sometimes it's like running the narcos unit. I'm not going to lie. It's like you get all the problems, but in the most challenging of times, which we're approaching right now, we are at the inflection point of that. That is when the most opportunity exists. And that's also when the world and our communities require leadership at the highest level. And no matter what entrepreneurs are selling, homes, widgets, astrology, chart, whatever it is, it's humans, human behavior. It's your own, self-mastery of your own human experience, because we all have, crap to get over. We all have a little trauma. We all have limiting beliefs, whether we believe it or not. I'm sitting here right now today, probably completely a different person than where I might be next year. And being a master of our emotions and talking about quotes, like we can go back to the Greeks. They knew a thing or two. Like my Marcus Aurelius, he said, the greatest thing you'll overcome in your life is yourself. And being the captain of your own ship first, and then by learning to do so, like duplicating that experience, that dedication to self-mastery, for the tribe that surrounds you, the tribe that you grow. And when you truly, truly come with a servant's heart, and I never thought the world worked like this, deliver that experience. And there's a lot of systems and work and hustle that goes into it. But hunger and commitment is really what it comes down to. And if you can, Darwin, also another quote, but it's not the most capable man, not the most intelligent man, nor the most capable, but the most collaborative man that ultimately survives. Because the most collaborative man is going to be able to pivot faster, see what's coming, the future, more together, with the experts that we are. And we truly have to just be experts right now, because that's the market we're going into. We're in real estate, we are 10 years behind every other industry and the most emotional industry in the world. So there really is a renaissance, an end and a beginnings that are happening right now. And in marketing and consumer behavior in general, we are in unprecedented times. We are in an emotional and technological revolution. And it's exciting times to be in. And no matter what your belief systems on Elon Musk is, if he doesn't inspire you to the fact that we will be colonized in Mars within 5 to 10 years max, what does inspire you? So it's not even the sky's the limit. Like not even Mars is the limit, where the limits are within yourself.
That's good. That's good. So let's rewind. You said a couple of things in that in 2008, obviously the market turned, ancillary businesses and some other things I want to dive into. So you had built up this successful track record. '08 hit, kind of put you on your butt. How did you recover? And what was the mentality like? Because most people jumped industries, but you stayed in real estate.
So I was back then a high functioning alcoholic. So I escaped with alcohol at night. I would not suggest that, but I will say that we had like a luxury development under construction. We had 5 single family, 4 rental multifamily, and a house. And at that time, I was giving birth to my 3rd child, so I had 4 kids. I had my card declined for lice shampoo. I lost those homes through foreclosure. I was getting calls every day. I was over millions of dollars in debt. I didn't, the mentality of depression, of like the utmost defeat. And I didn't have the tribe I have today. If I had the tribe I had today, I probably wouldn't have been in that position. But going through what I went through, knowing what happens to families, knowing I wasn't the present mom, I wasn't a good wife, I wasn't even there for myself. But it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to be alone. And that's why I share my failures, because it like sometimes people think, oh, it must be easy for you. I also had autoimmune disease. I had ulcerative colitis. I was diagnosed in '04 that I biohacked my way out, not using Western medicine, but I, had to overcome that disease while going through this very stressful time. And if you know ulcerative colitis, like literally you crap your pants. So I was crapping my pants financially, physically, and trying to raise kids in that. And in that, I found that that resilience, you go through that in resilience and know that I needed better. What is my lessons to be learned? I needed a better tribe. I needed to learn. I needed to be in rooms where I was the dumb people because I needed to know what was going on. So that is when I, started coaching. I started collaborating. I started to get in masterminds. I started to be around, they say you're the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And we think about that just with money. But what about with not just the money, but the mindset, right? The energy, the people that are supporting you, that believe in you, that you could see that you're believing in them because look where they're at. And, that is going back. And what I learned is that you can rebuild. And it is like Joe Dispenza calls it night of the dark soul. But sometimes it comes down to a single night where you can remember. But also in that moment is like when you can remember. You can remember what you've did, what you've been through. And once you go through that, all the other struggles, they become less important. And, I faced death last year. I've faced death a few times in my life. It's kind of a crazy story. But last year I was stuck in a hotel room at a conference for 9 days with my ulcerative colitis, with my COVID. And they found me unconscious. And, it was a lesson I had to learn, because I had gotten away from myself. I'd gotten away to some of the most important things. And sometimes I think God intervenes. And, I had to go home. I had to address my issues at home with myself, with my kids, with my husband, with myself personally, because who you are as a professional, it's not like you just put on a costume and you're that person. You're the same person. And so there were a lot of things I had to overcome, and it's all based on insecurity, right? No, I mean, really childhood wise, a lot of the accomplishment, a lot of the things I was doing was based on insecurity. But by going there to my childhood to address these things, I found the magic. I also found the magic of my dreams of what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I still think the most interesting people are 40, 50 and they're doing real estate, but they're still discovering their dreams because it's so cool that we could live in a real estate industry, yet grow it in so many artistically different ways. Ultimately, though, helping the client and your agents achieve legacies, and I that's what I'm about, legacies, financial, like, first of all, we need money to have choices, to have freedom. We need, the more money you have, the more money you can give away. So we kind of, the psychology of money is like what I had a shift in my own brain to such a opportunity mindset to know that, like, my team, my people, my kids, my great grandkids someday, they deserve a legacy.
That's great. So you said earlier you needed to be a part of the right tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize, but you just mentioned that you were part of EXP. So how did that journey come about? When did you join EXP? And what was the thing that attracted you to EXP Realty?
Honestly, it was my already in place mentor. So Kyle Whistle, Dan Beer out in San Diego. I was struggling. I had like 4 agents. I was with Remax in 2018. And it just really wasn't a good financial foundation. Or I already kind of like recognized the whole like trend in the industry of your brand is you. Like, your clients probably don't even know who you're with, whether it be Russ, Lyon, Sotheby's, Coldwell, it's your brand is you. And we even teach this to our agents, like, brand yourself, co-branding, branding your message. So I already kind of knew the whole broker myth of like, my broker is going to help me build my business. And I'm not to say that there aren't brokers out there that would, but I acknowledge and took ownership that I was putting too much of that on the brokers, and it was going to be me. And I've accepted that every day since. But in 2018, I had 4 agents. I wasn't profitable. I wanted to grow. I believed in the dream of growing. Kyle and Dan were just ahead of the curve. They were where I wanted to be at. And they announced, and I had like 50 escrows and like 50 listings, like 3 admin, and they were crying every day. And I had to announce that, hey, we're leaving. And I signed the lease on this current office that have outgrown since. And, my business has grown like exponentially, but not just in real estate, but additional passive forms of income, additional ancillary incomes that are directly tied to real estate, doing the exact thing I do. I've grown my ancillary businesses last year to 4 different streams of ancillary income that is significant, all based on my foundations of real estate. So that my tribe has taught me that. My mentors taught me that. My mentorship has grown. Wise counsel has grown. How to level up my, financial wise counsel. I have a outsourced CTO. Internally, I rebuilt my internal leadership team in the last 3 months. So I love to architect and build and engineer, and also deliver, at the same time. So, the client experience, number one, the agent experience, but also like teaching legacy, teaching, coaching. It's just my passion, because, there are too many people out there that, have just been told this is the way to do it, and constrained by what society or academia or even family, put out there. And, you got to love your haters someday, because I had a coach call me out on stage one day, and he's like, this agent here thinks she could like grow a team with Zillow and actually be profitable. And the next year I netted $1 million. So sometimes I'm like, caring about what other people think like is important to an extent, the people that matter and the feedback that's important. But when you got the doubters, even if it's yourself, go prove them wrong.
Love it. Congrats on that, netting $1 million. Not a lot of people have done that in the industry. So that's a big deal. And it goes to show, like, Kyle Wiesel and I were really good friends because we were both independent brokers. And we had a similar setup. Obviously, he's in San Diego. I'm here in Central Texas in College Station. But I think from an independent broker standpoint, we shared a lot of the same war stories. And when I would see him, we'd go to dinner, because I don't drink, but I would go out and hang out with him. And we share those stories. And he was one of the people, Elizabeth Raleigh is my sponsor at EXP, but Kyle was one of those guys that, watching him as an independent broker make that transition, him and Mitch Reback, because I knew Mitch real well, seeing them both succeed as independent brokers really got my attention on what EXP was doing for people like you and me, brokers, team leaders, top producers. And it's really, really, it's a special model. And it goes to show why, like you said, having that mentorship So you've grown ancillary income now, which I'm always talking. That's why I don't name this real estate agent or broker or builder. I call it real estate entrepreneur because I said multiple income streams used to be a fad. It used to be like something people talked about. Now it's a necessity. So with your multiple income streams, if you don't mind telling me, what are your 4 new ancillary income streams have you created since you've joined EXP?
So I have title, I have insurance, I have my revenue share, I have coaching, I have book, and then I have we have vendors, but vendor supported income. And then beyond that, we're building more. So, we'll have some, we just monetize YouTube. We just have some affiliate income. But with insurance, like we partnered up with an insurance company that gives our clients the best rates, and it's very passive. With Matt, our title company, we're already working together. Why not just own it and be able to have the ownership of that experience? And then with the coaching and the revenue share, it's just like you're taking your passion and you're just pivoting your time, something you're more passionate about in general. So I built out a coaching program. I run a real estate school internally within it's called the Fast Track Intensive. So I've been running that for the last year, and that's a small income, but it's mainly just to give back to our network. And then we'll be launching our coaching products. So we've had these built, but it's the cadence of the time that is really going to be the biggest factor. But we have our coaching products that we launched in 2020, earlier last year. And that was all about, there's pretty much 2 courses. One's more just to grow like your fundamentals, like being a brand new agent, all the foundational skills. And the other one is team growth. But the most important thing, things are changing so fast right now, is just being plugged in to whatever tribe you're at on a weekly cadence, having somebody you can go to like throughout the week, having that level of cadence. And so that is something that we've built out for our network, which is why our revenue share component has increased significantly, and it's holistically growing at a rate that's exciting. But knowing that we're putting full arsenal there, an arsenal is like coaching, training, accountability, systems, just like don't create the wheel. Like I got the wheel for you. Kyle helps me build the wheel. We all help build the wheel. So that was kind of a long answer, but so those main ones were the revenue share, title, insurance, and coaching.
Congratulations.
Oh, and I'm sorry, real estate investment. So I have Airbnbs and real estate investments that I also make passive income on.
Congrats, man. I'm proud of you. That's a big deal. And with me being an independent broker, I was always trying to teach my agents, you can't just sell real estate and build wealth. Real estate is a great place to have cash flow. Like it's a great industry. You can get in at a very low investment. And, you got to think we make just as much or more than doctors and lawyers and, people who go to school and $250,000 in debt. I mean, we can be in the game in 30 days with a $4,000 investment, but we have the opportunity to make 6 figures, 7 figures. So congrats, man, because that's always the transition. Literally, that's how I have my courses set up. Even on the podcast, I call it Real Estate Entrepreneur, Sales, Investing, and Entrepreneurship. I literally teach my agents start in sales, build out a team just like you've done, get success, get that cash flow coming in, net $1 million a year like you're doing, and then take that seed and go buy title, insurance, mortgage, set up these other ancillary businesses, buy real estate, and then obviously become an entrepreneur, which is that kind of last phase where now you're buying other people's businesses, you're setting up coaching businesses. You're literally following my model to a T. So I'm proud of you. If no one's told you that, I want you to know I'm proud of you. Like seriously, it's a big deal to do what you've done. It's a really big deal.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'll take that today.
Yeah, you deserve it. So you mentioned one of the things, I want to circle back to this and then we can kind of move forward. You talked about systems. When you look at stuff from a systematic approach, I think people struggle with that, right? Like if you read the book Traction and Gino Wickman and EOS. And,
oh, yeah. The Bibles.
Yeah. What do you feel like So what do you feel like you've done to kind of help set those systems up? Is there any hacks that you have that have set those systems up?
Oh yeah. It's like, where do I start? Because first of all, the book is how to unlock the art of systems. And I say the art of systems because most agents are true artists. They love people, they love the homes, it's designers. Okay, well, there is an art in all the systems. I had a system since the day I started. It was '03, but my system used to be canned responses. Like I think it was before Gmail, I'd have all my responses. If I'm going to type the same thing up over and over, I'm not going to do the same thing. That's stupid. And I don't want, if anything, I just don't want to be stupid, So I would like copy and paste, copy and paste. Then I had canned responses, but I actually did leverage off people right away. I got into real estate in '03, got a call on Thanksgiving Day. That was my family day. And I draw my boundaries around my family and set expectations with my clients. But I also knew that my clients deserve to have service. So I hired an assistant like in November. So I always, but my brain thinks like a system. So when I had to rebuild the team, and it was like 2009, 10, when those tough times with REOs, I literally locked myself in a room. This is 13 years ago. So systems have gone a long way since then. But I just made every tutorial on Screencastify, recording my screen, documenting my systems, my processes, and I hired a virtual assistant to do all the dumb work. I know what my dollar per hour is. I also domestic leverage. So I had to explain to my husband why we would lose $4,000 if I clean the house, given the fact that I am the world's best cleaner, because I grew up in my mom's household. So I am the world's best cleaner. But I would lose $4,000 even if I just wanted to Netflix and chill, because R&R is a real thing. Like Da Vinci and Einstein, they know a thing or two, and they are a big heavy about R&R, because the logic will get you to a certain point, but imagination is can take you to anywhere. So, there are systems and technology every day, having CRMs with open integration. Anything you're going to do over and over, you have to look at it like if you were building a building, like it has to scale. If it's going to help 10 people, well, how does it, help 1,000? Like anything that we do, it has to be documented in our processes. And I mean, we have numerous different systems, but I don't want to get up too rabbit holey there. But if you don't have a system, and most agents I meet, and it's, they don't coach this, even on coaching, it's like nobody told me how to run a business. I've literally had to learn it from my tribe, from books, from consultants, and, failure and experience in itself. So having your, PLC, your P&L. Right now, can you class out your P&L? Can I see how much you netted, how much, percentage is going to salary, how much percentage is going to marketing? Most agents don't have that. Most agents' business plan is their email and maybe their to-do list and whatever is on the top of their head, but if you begin with the long game in mind, you have a plan. We have a simple 1-3-5 plan. It sounds simple, but that's what works, and stick to that plan. No, things are ever changing. You might have to pivot, but you're doing the actions and you're doing different actions. Can you show me your calendar? Because, if you could show me your calendar, I could show you your paycheck. How are you spending your time? And as an entrepreneur, you might get this is what I had to do this year. I had to tear down my calendar and rebuild it. My calendar was like 10 hours long every day. And I had to get myself out of some meetings, out of some appointments, and then build, my calendar back to the highest and best uses of my time and energy. And then the things that I had to do, me personally. So look at your calendar. How are you spending your time? What are you working on in the business? And are you just in a job? Because I think you can get stuck in a pattern where you're like working every day, you're doing the same thing every day, you're doing the same thing, but you're expecting different results. We're in a shifting market. We've hit the inflection point. We know if we had a DeLorean, we can go back today to '05 in March when all the indicators of a shifting market were there. And then in November of '05 is when it officially hit, yet we only felt it and saw it in '07, '08. Well, here we are in 2022, hitting the inflection point. This year, next year, going to be okay. It'd be more challenging, but it already has been the most challenging market I personally have seen in 18 years. But the more challenges, the more opportunities. And, you had mentioned a point earlier. It's like how it's 90 hours to get your license here. It's like 1,000 hours to cut someone's hair, but 90 hours you can possibly destroy somebody's biggest financial investment they ever make. And doesn't take that much to be to pass the test. But did they give you the skills and the knowledge that you need to help your clients really do this business? No. Come on, we all know that. So what are you doing to learn, to train? And if you're not in something, learning and training, and I believe this every day, it's I lead with this as my core value, curiosity and having a learning mindset, and being coachable in that as well. If you don't have that, you have to learn how to adapt it. And just know that it kind of goes against human behavior. It's say only 10% of the population want to learn for the sake of learning. But if you're an entrepreneur, you've got to want to learn. You have to want it. So if your hunger for your goals is truly there, you have to align it with the hunger you have for knowledge, and be willing to change and be open to changing within.
That's good. A lot of good wisdom, man. Once you got going, you've been hitting the target. So we got this one section. We call it coming in hot. So it's kind of like a little competition. And we time everybody almost like a 40-yard dash. It's just kind of like a fun little test. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You got to answer it in one word or one sentence. And the goal is to beat the best time. I think it's 24 seconds is the record. And somebody, I think he just did 27 seconds the other day. All right. So Jennifer, are you ready?
Okay, 24 seconds.
24 seconds. All right. So go. All right. College degree or no college degree? Do you have a college degree or no college degree?
78% there.
Okay. What was your greatest challenge as a child?
Crashing my motorcycle after my parents' divorce.
Okay. What was your first attempt at entrepreneurship?
Selling pictures when I was 8 years old, door-to-door sales.
Love it. What was the worst real estate advice you've ever received?
You can't do it.
And who was the one person that made the biggest impact on your career?
Tony Robbins.
40 seconds.
Man.
That ain't bad.
I am not this, I'm like the deep person. I'm like, Albert Einstein, the Marcus Aurelius, Kairos.
Nah, it's cool. It's cool. So what's your secret to good time management? You got the 4 to 7, 8, 9 income streams going. You got the team going. You're expanding. You're killing the game as a real estate entrepreneur. You're really the typical real estate entrepreneur. What is your secret to good time management? What are you doing? What's your hack?
I would say protection. It's like protecting your time, your most valuable asset. Maybe it's the fact that I'm 44 and, you figure out in the midlife that time is fleeting, but time really is fleeting. And if you're not protective over your time, if you don't even know where your time is, go there. I have a visual wheel in our coaching. We talk about spirituality, family, kids, friendships, love, money, work, and you rate yourself in those components. And then you take that and you build your calendar out. So build your non-negotiables out personally. When I started to get out of production, it was 2013. Jen does not work Sundays, and that has stayed in place since 2013. That is how I was able to build my way out of both production and grow the team. So, and still be a mom of 4 kids. It's crazy. How much commitment that is. But since then, I've built my time to be more protective over it, and the accountability of it too. For our team, if they're not honoring their calendar, they don't deserve a coaching call. Because if I can't see how you're managing your time, if my mentors can't see how I'm managing my time, then like, what are we talking about here? I don't even remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday, unless if I wanted to know, I'd put it on my calendar. Probably don't want to know that. But I put sex on our calendar and talk about that. It's crazy, right? But the top Forbes CEOs do that because they know, 2 times is the happiness metric in their marriage. Date nights, like the non-negotiable for your kids, I color code them. I put the green for the money-making activities. Which activities, what energy level do you need, and build your calendar out, in the way you need to do that. But if you're not action blocking, like what actions and specific actions, like if I'm not doing this right now, but open houses. Okay, I'm going to do open house marketing from 10 to 12. I'm going to have a mastermind 12 to 1. I'm going to be on a buyer appointment 1 to 3. See how you're counting your time. Every day, reconcile your calendar. Every day, look at your calendar, take the shit off. If you have prospecting on there at 9 to 11 every day and nothing else is built out in your calendar, I know your calendar's a damn lie. So be honest with yourself, reconcile your time, keep that calendar, consistent. I just use Google. There are cloud-based solutions, but right now I should be able to ask you what you did last Wednesday, and you should be able to tell me simply by looking at your calendar. So in this, you'll have the non-negotiables, you'll have the green, you're going to have times of bandwidth and you might have to pivot around, but by knowing where time is, then you could start to pivot where you need to shift away, where you can get more efficient, where you can leverage off systems, technology, or people, and just what you need to get better at yourself. And do you have learning on your calendar at least a couple times a week? If you're not learning, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So, when are you learning? Once every quarter when I go to a summit? Too late. You need something every week. You need something you're reading every day. So every day I feed my mind. I feed my mind with podcasts. I read a book a week. Not always. Sometimes it's 30 pages of the book, but I try. But I'm a book lover, and I also gifted over 10,000 books last year. So it's your mindset. We say mindset's important. Your mindset is the most important thing because you can't always control the external, but you can always control the internal. And so by that, one of your internal things is doing things you don't want to do. Humans are designed not to go against that. So our brains are literally working against us, but put it on your calendar. You will start to understand and have clear boundaries on those time. Honor those commitments to your time. If you're supposed to be prospecting, you've made a commitment to yourself, your team, your family, honor that commitment. And when you need help, ask for help. Because that's what, it takes villages. It truly takes villages. That's how we have grown up is in the world since the beginning of time of caves, all the way through the Ice Age and all through today where we're at. And knowing that we're in the cognitive and technological revolution is exciting because this is the time to just master our emotions, master ourselves, and surround ourselves by people that are dedicated to the same.
Love it. Love it. So we have this thing called Moonshot. That's kind of like your, like you said, Elon Musk to the moon. So it's like a dream or a goal that you have that it just seems impossible or people think is crazy. What is your personal moonshot?
Okay, well, I am writing my memoir. It's going to be a little raw. It is, done it, but it's also have an agent. It's getting shopped out as a movie. So always as a kid, I wanted to write a book and a movie. And this is not directly related to real estate, but I hope helps my heart and my chapter of what I thought, I've always wanted to do as a kid to share with humanity. I'm also becoming a stand-up comedian. I was frightened of the stage. I love comedians, and I did an agent stand-up comedy event last year, but I want to see if I can do it.
Why not?
I'm also a dancer and I'm learning gymnastics again. So, and I'm going to be pulling those out on stage. So, really just tapping into the artist side of me and seeing where that takes me. But that is the dreams that I've really just barely started to unlock.
Love it, man. Go for it, hell. Why not? So we have all of our real estate entrepreneurs bring our audience a book that has kind of changed that has changed their life or made an impact on them. You suggested, obviously, the book.
I have a better one.
Okay, well, you got a better one. Give me the one you want to go over.
Oh, I'm in love with this guy. I've never met him. His name's Robert Greene. He did write the 48 Laws of Power, but the book, The Keys to Human Nature by Robert Greene, and I'm trying to see if I have it with me here. Whew. It's been like well read. It's like a pick your own adventure. Every chapter, like I just read about Nixon and how he didn't the integrating the dark shadow, as everyone has a shadow, and how Lincoln did it so well. So you learn like in like 7 or 8 pages, like a brief history, and then how to apply this in your life. And it's all about like mastering human experience, mastering ourselves, and learning from everything in history. So it's fascinating. I just learned about Pericles and the fall of the Greek Empire, 400 BC. But I also took away like just the most critical leadership, human experience messages I ever had. So hats off to Robert Greene. Amazingly brilliant man. He has some podcasts out there too. He's all over like all the big people like Tim Ferriss and Tom Bayou, but look for him on there. But it's very inspiring because it all ties into what we've been talking about of just mastery, personal mastery.
Love it. All right, so final thoughts for our real estate entrepreneur audience. Thank you for being on the show. But what's your final thoughts for everybody? And then where can people find you?
Gosh, leaving it down to, I'm a natural born philosopher, but, I just think, leading with curiosity, like in that wonder, in that imagination, because we got trapped in the logical brain so much. But take a step back and just your dreams. What are those dreams? Have you put it on paper? Can you visualize it on a canvas? And the rest will come, but nature heals. Get out. Sometimes physically get out, give your space, try to see you will see your life in a whole different perspective if you can tap into that imagination and those dreams. But philosophy is just for me, like I'm a natural born philosopher, leading with that curiosity. You will find it. And then DM me on Instagram. So I've been with YouTube since 2009. So some of my videos that you might find on there look like they are actually produced in 1972. But I also keep it updated. Instagram. So DM me on Instagram, on Facebook. You can find me on Jennifer Wehner. Just Google me. There's lots of sites all over. But you DM me on Instagram. I check all my messages. I can personally respond, and would love, to hear more about you and, just what we have going on. And, I would love to hear more people tell their stories. So I just think humans are fascinating. So. And truly you are too. And I'd love to get to know you more. Big T. So, thank you so much for having me as a yogi. Namaste. Gratefulness is where that peace, where it all gets to at the end of the day, after all the chaos and turmoil, and that gratefulness and that peace and that love, that's why.
Love it, man. Yeah, we need to connect for sure. Obviously we're in the same tribe and doing a lot of the same things. And yeah, I've hit a new season of life of awakening for sure with the mental piece. It's as a pro athlete, we had a different type of mental that we worked, but now just like you said, patience and meditation and breathing and all those things is something that I'm working on right now. So appreciate you again. Thank you for gracing the show and bringing the just information, the inspiration, and the knowledge and the perspective to the podcast. So thank you again.
Thank you.